Hey everyone, thanks for joining our webinar today. Be an HR leader, manage employee records, and onboard from anywhere. My name is Nicole Schmeida. I'm the Senior Marketing Specialist here at DocuWare. I'll be co-hosting today. I do have a live poll for you all, and I'll be moderating the Q&A session at the end. Today's main presenter is Justin Espinoza. He's a regional sales director here at DocuWare, and he's also been a document management expert for over 20 years. So we're happy to have him on the line. So Justin will explain how DocuWare helps you solve your HR challenges. He'll go into a live demo, and we'll open it up at the end for Q&A and get to your questions. But first, I have a poll for you all. So if you direct your attention to your screen, I'm going to launch it now. So what challenges are you experiencing with your HR processes now? Too much paper, costly and slow, not easy or fast to pull documents, difficult to onboard new employees smoothly, processes are just too long, limited mobility, you can only work in the office. So you can select one or more of these choices. So once I get a good amount of votes in, I'll close it and I'll share the results with you all so you can see what everyone else on the line is experiencing. All right, just take a second if you haven't already. Looks like we got a good amount. Just gonna wait a few more seconds here. All right, I will close the poll now and share the results. So we have a variety of answers with the top two, I would say, is that it's not easy or fast to look up documents. It's probably just taking you a while. Maybe you still have paper processes, and that your processes are just too long. It's hard to keep track of everything. So great that you're here today for this first look at DocuWare. Thank you all. And with that, I am going to pass it over to Justin now.
All right, so first poll question on my side. How many people think that I can file a grievance against Nicole for putting that picture with me on the socks? Dear Lord, that was awful. Hopefully today you guys will learn a bunch and at least how to do an efficient workflow, right? With some of these things, especially finding those documents, that's kind of great. And it lines right up with a bunch of the challenges we find today in HR. We really try to listen to the marketplace. We have almost 2,000 customers we add every year, right? HR is one of the ones that we implement a ton of. And it's usually enhancing the employee experience, which onboarding is kind of on the front end, but then performance reviews and looking up data, right? Being self-serve. But the number two is enhancing that process of the automation piece. I've been doing this, as you said, 20 years. Unfortunately, it's been 22 at this point. And over that time, when I ask a customer, how long does it take you to find a document? About 5 minutes. They usually say the number one response is if we can find it. The number two response is 10 minutes, right? So that's really unacceptable. If you have 8 people in an organization doing 10 searches, that's a head count of time every single month. It's crazy. So we try to eliminate those wasteful needs. We want you to find the document in 10 seconds or less, right? And then providing useful analytics on the fly, like if you have something open, if you need to run a report, those kinds of things. So DocuWare is extremely good at helping you do those. So then we take polls on, are you a leader or a laggard, right? And basically most people, and this might sound a little brutal, but organizations, the leadership sometimes doesn't know that people are just running reports and Excel and putting things together, right? And putting tons of man hours into something that if they had the proper tool would be really, really easy for them to accomplish. And so that's kind of why we're here. You might have an HR system or you don't have an HR system. We actually can help you with either of those things, right? Enhance what you have and move forward from there. So our main focus is to simplify your life, refocus, and just help you and your employees get better, right? And we can also work in all the departments. When I talk to a client, I usually tell them that you can grow your business 20 to 30% without having to hire any additional folks. And that's simply because you get rid of the monotony of walking to a copier and printing something out and scanning it back in, right? And then going back to your desk and finding it in an email and filing it away. We get rid of those little tiny things and make it so much faster for you to be able to accomplish your job. So very first thing, we have a lot of accounts out there that have decentralized employee files. So they may have a few locations, right? Very first thing we want to do is standardize. We want to standardize your nomenclature and centralize your documents so employee time and turnover doesn't affect how your files are shared, right? Then just smoothing that process is over, making stuff easier to do. So tracking the information from onboarding, making that experience easy for the new hire to come on, right? Making it easy for IT to know what they need from you, and tracking all those processes while that happens. And any other process by that matter, right? So performance management, reporting, so on and so forth. And then the biggest thing, ensuring privacy. We care about HIPAA. If you have to deal with GDPR here in the States, you know, if you know, you know, right? The EEOC, all of the stuff about data privacy protection, DocuWare has you in good hands. So let's take a look at the employee management, right? It starts with the employee records. And we do everything you can think of from making it fast. But we can also handle, today I'll show you onboarding and maybe a little bit of a couple of other little things in there. But you'll see we have recruiting, right? Onboarding, performance reviews, employee separation policies, certification, legal compliance, time off management. And even if you have a system that maybe does a few of these, we can always fill the gaps for you as well. It's really our focus to make your experience and your work life way more productive. So all of this can actually be done in about 3 days' time. I know in software, again, a lot of experience in this industry, it gets a bad rap for taking 6 months, right? And taking so long. We've literally stood up an employee management system, and I know about in less than a day. So we can get this up and running and have you going with it in a very short time. So with that said, I'm going to actually start showing you some of the product. If you have questions, please feel free. I think at the end we'll have a question and answer, and we'll get going from there. So this is DocuWare. This is our web version of DocuWare. Typically, we like to hide behind other products like Outlook, other maybe main line of business applications you have. On the right-hand side, you have a screen that's a viewer. So this can be separated into multiple monitors, that kind of thing. On the left-hand side, you have the business end of it. So you see I'm logged in here. I'm actually logged in as an HR director, right? So I can see everything. I can see all the files and do all that. And we'll talk about employees and their levels of getting the information. But we'll start with this document tray. So you have 6 tabs across the top. First one is a document tray. Think of this like a wire basket on your desk. You're basically going to take a piece of paper and throw something in there. So I'll just put in a performance review, right? We take this piece of paper, we throw it in there, and now we can go ahead and store that document. Now, when we store it, you're going to see all these attributes here on the side. These are tailorable to you. So the worst part about document management that people don't like is that you start having to type a lot. But notice when I click on Tina's name, it literally is just put it in there for me, right? I can click on performance review, the date down here, pretty much anything on the document, and store that away. Now, for a special surprise, pay attention up here for later. So that can be done. That's the longest way possible in DocuWare. We really, truly want to automate that process for you, right? To where when documents are coming in, you're not having to deal with them at all. And that's kind of a nice thing. So let's go to the next tab. We focused on the document tray. Let's go to the search. So the search is the same thing, right? You have all these attributes. Again, this is just a generic HR search. We can pretty much do anything you want here. And these attributes are nice because I can go out there and find a document like I want to see, I don't know, OSHA certificate, right? And it's going to pull up the 3 that I have in there. Great. But maybe I want to narrow that. So I only want to see mollies. And so I'll come in here and you can see it's predictive text, right? So I can come in here and now I have mollies and I can open it up and, hey, look at Molly's OSHA's card. So that's really nice. However, there's a lot of times that I'm sitting there and even in my own day and I think, man, I was looking for something on safety. And so we have this full text search up here that when you search, it's going to pull back a hit list for you. And every time it finds the word safety, you can see first time here is in red. Let me make this bigger. Notice how bad of a scan this is. And it's fuzzy and it still found it, right? We have really good OCR technology. Second time or subsequent times, it'll be in yellow. And so that's really nice to have that action happen. And then this is, I think, a 349-page document. It jumped to page 9 because it found the word safety the first time there. And then as I scroll through it, it will just jump through that document again. So having that ability to go in there and find information is amazing. Now, of course, all of these things here are subject to having the ability to see documents. So I am the head of HR in this demo. So when I do a search, I can find every single thing out there, right? Anything I want to find, I can look for, I can open up documents, right? But our security level down can go down to the employee level, right? So say this is our toolbar. It has a lot of functionality. All these are on-off switches, so don't be scared of it. If you don't need it, we won't put it on there. But let's say you have an employee that has the access to this document type, right? So the direct deposit form, but you don't want them to see the account number, right? Or the bank routing number or whatever that is, social security numbers. So as the admin, I can turn that off, turn it on and see what's behind it. But when an employee that has access to the document logs in, they're unable to turn that off, which is really nice, right? So their file views, it goes all the way down to that level, right? From the folder down to even a redaction on that document, which is really, really nice. Other little things. So when I demo to customers, I like talking about the little things. And sometimes we talked about one of the main things, it's hard to find data, right? Like I need to get data. And something so little is I need my OSHA reports for maybe people who are getting OSHA recertified this year. So I can come in and say, I want to see everybody that has a report from now until let's go to next month, right? So we'll choose November and get that range and what type of document. I'm looking for the OSHA training that they did. And so I can run searches on that. And that's going to give me a hit list of everybody who's coming due in that date. But I want to be able to see this again next month, right? And run it for November and December, that kind of thing. So when I come out here, I can easily do so. So when I run this report, notice that I have this little arrow popping up right here next to the X. I can take that arrow, drag it over to my desktop, and now next time I want to see that report refreshed, I just double click it. There's no need for me to go out there and set that report up again, right? DocuWare doesn't want you to be doing things a multitude of times. We want you to do it once and be able to save it. Oh, by the way, I can save it to my search list. I can even email it to my team if I want to. I can export all the data if I need to. So there's so many things you can do with it. So I saved it as a search list, right? So I need to see all of those things and I can have it in my drop down here, which is incredibly nice. So the next is tasks and folders. The folder, I won't spend a lot of time on it. It's basically folder structuring, kind of traditional viewpoint, if you will. In fact, we have the folder structure here. If I go into Windows Explorer, let me make this a little larger for you, and go to DocuWare, you'll notice that DocuWare pops up and I can click on my HR folder. Again, this is all rights-based. So if you don't have rights to see something, you won't be able to see it. and I can click on these documents and find it. Super simple, right? So moving on from there, let's go to eForms, because now I want to take you guys through onboarding. Onboarding, and it kind of came back low actually. Most of the time I see it a little higher in the poll, but onboarding is usually not too difficult for you on the front end, but it's all the monotony that you have to do on the back end with managing the documents and getting the workflows and doing that kind of stuff. So on a new hire form, we try to simplify it. So think about, as you look at the new hire form, think about all the documentation. Like literally, most places haven't changed. Like my first job was in the 80s, right? Most first jobs haven't changed since then. You have a stack of papers anywhere from 15 to 50, and you're putting your first name on them 82 times, right? It's just crazy. So now we can accomplish this in other workflows, performance reviews, for example, via eForm, and it's super easy. You don't even have to be a user in the system. You can send this to somebody outside, put it on your website for new hires, even for people that are submitting resumes and that kind of thing. So let's start typing. Notice I have the asterisk there. It means that it's a required field or it won't be able to submit. So I'm just going to choose Laura here for time's sake. We have the ability to do things like drop-down menus and choosing them, right? That kind of stuff. It's really natural. She's a female. If anybody on the call has a really good credit score, go ahead and put that inside the comments, and we'll get back to you later on that one. Please don't do so. I'm just joking. We'll say she's married, right? Well, Hispanic, great. But one of the things that we focused in on, this is very shortened, right? This is an abbreviated form, by the way, guys. So it's very brief. This would be longer in the real world. But one of the things that we focus on is being remote. I mean, DocuWare, here at DocuWare, we're really remote. I think my next closest employee is a couple hundred miles away from me. So when you do things, you have to have the ability to upload those documents, driver's license, social security cards, check copies, right? Like all the stuff that you guys need to process that file. So here's an easy way. We can put an attached file. They can scan it, take a picture of it, do whatever they want, get that in there. And then once they have it in, it's attached to the file now, right? This can go on and on for whatever you need, whatever data you need to collect. In the background, we can also monitor what documents are missing, put reminder notifications, all kinds of good stuff. So we'll just say it's today's date, right? And I'll go ahead and put my lovely signature on it. I know y'all are jealous. It's really nice. Cross my T there. But before I hit submit, because it's ready to go now, I'm going to go back to DocuWare and I'm going to change my search just to the full search because I want you to know what's happening here. So in the background, I have all these people in here. You don't see Laura once, right? So when I come in here now, this is a live demo. So everything I'm doing in front of you is live. I'm going to hit submit, and that's going to go ahead and process and bring in a new employee, right? And that'll kick off the workflow so that we have new things. You see another task up here that came red. All of that just came in. I'm going to go ahead and refresh my screen. And now all of a sudden, like magic, I have my emergency contact form filled out with things in the right spaces. I have my I-9 filled out, right? My W-4 is complete. All of my document package with down to the check marks and the signatures and everything I need to process has been completed. And of course, this is abbreviated, right? Because this is a demo, but this would populate all of your 35, 50 documents that you have. But we all know when we hire somebody, that's not it, right? So we need to have reminders. So if I go to tasks, I can have tasks right here. I have an IT notification, and you see I have new hire tasks up here. And that's all good and dandy, but you know, maybe they're at somebody's desk or they're doing this from the house, so they're not really logged in and they don't see this notification. Well, we can also email them. So we have an email notification. show you, hey, you have a new hire. Please be aware we need a landline, a laptop, office within the sales department, right? A mobile device. You can have all of these check boxes happen. This works in Outlook, any basically pop mail server. So as you're sitting there, you're not worried if they're going to forget something, right? How many times has an employee showed up and they don't have a laptop or they don't have a mobile device? So now we know they can do it because they can click back from there, go to their workflow, and be able to continue to process this employee, right? Super, super simple. Now that's kind of an automated workflow where you can check on it. Like we can come in here and open the workflow history, right? This works with any documentation. So you have audit trails of everything that happens, right? And the history that it happens. But what happens when you get something, and I love this term because it's very technical, something weirdo. So we'll say we have a performance review, right? And I need to send this off because maybe we have a normal performance review workflow, but maybe this is outside of that. So I need to send it back to the employee for some off reason, right? Or anything that comes in weird, I need to send it to somebody so that they can see it. We can do a send request. And you basically can pick anybody in the organization you want, send it to. Of course, you have to have rights to do so. Type in a message, give them some buttons to either approve, reject it, pend it, mark it as okay, whatever you want to do there, and then send that request off. And that request will send that employee a workflow that you did on the fly, right? Now they can come in and put a stamp on it. They can maybe mark it approved if you want. Notice the user date, time, and what they're doing. That's going to mark it off. And that closed out the document because you just created a workflow on the fly that short. We can do version control along with that, right? And then at the end of everything, what's nice about DocuWare is that you can do all of these little things on your phone. So I'm in the Apple store, right? It's just an app out there. If you have DocuWare online, it comes with it. But notice you have your searches, your lists, your tasks, right? So you can approve, reject, pin, whatever your statuses are. You can even come out there and scan documents in from remote. Again, all within a secure environment. So it's really nice to be able to do that and have a solution that can tie into your other tools, give you your reports that you need, and automate the processes you have. So with that said, we have tons of other features and functionalities. We can work in different departments, but I will turn it over to Nicole now and start wrapping it up towards those questions. Nicole?
All right, thanks, Justin. We will open up for Q&A in just 2 slides. Can you see my screen okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Perfect. So thank you, Justin, for that introductory demo, first look at the solution. So in your handouts, I mentioned there's a case study earlier, and I pulled out this interesting quote. So B&M Retail, they're a very large retail chain. They onboard new employees, and they were able to go from onboarding people, it took them weeks, and now it takes them a few hours. So this is just showing you the power of process automation. You saw in this demo onboarding workflow, but as Justin mentioned, there are many other workflows that DocuWare can handle for you for your HR processes. As we end today, if you only remember one thing, DocuWare handles the manual work, so you and your team can focus on what really matters, the people. So don't be an HR laggard, be an HR leader now. Take the next step. If you would like to request a personalized demo, contact your authorized DocuWare partner. You received a newsletter, email, or webinar invitation from them. At the bottom is their contact info or reply to the email. You can go to docuware.com/demo or email us anytime at contact.us@docuware.com and we'll put you in touch with the right person. So for Q&A, we do have 5 minutes left. I'm going to turn my camera back on, and we have a couple questions that have come in. So Justin, if you want to turn your camera on too. Let's see, let me pull up the questions. The first one is, are you able to import documents from emails. So it looks like you showed dragging it in. How else can
Yeah,
the documents get in?
absolutely. So you have a plethora of ways to get in. So you can use, of course, a traditional scanner, a copier. You can take a picture with your phone. You can set up FTP sites. We can monitor fax lines, and we can monitor email addresses. So a big portion of that, let's say if you have an email address that you want to pop, right? So resumes at whatevercompany.com. DocuWare can monitor that address, pull that resume out, and either attach the email with it, separate it, kind of however you want to do that. And then from there, send notifications and workflow that you have a new resume ready to go. So absolutely.
Great. Someone asked, it might be similar to this question, but they already have an HRIS system, but I still have a lot of paper. How would that work?
A lot of times what you find is systems, main line of business applications, right? They focus on a very uh, horizontal piece of the company, in this case, HR. And so they kind of miss some functionality there, and that's what DocuWare does really well. Think of us like a glorified system for the entire company, if you will, if you want to get to that point, but it enhances what you're doing today. So something as simple, and the reason why there's a lot of documents probably floating around there is something as simple as if I wanted to send Nicole here an email to say, hey, approve this slide that I created, right? And I want to go out. The multiplicity of data in an organization is just crazy right now. It's one of IT's largest problems because I have one on my computer, I send it to her, right? So outbox, inbox, and email typically, or Teams in this case sometimes. Then she saves it, signs it, sends it back. So again, outbox, inbox, and saves it. That creates 8 copies of this thing floating around. And in a paper environment, we don't do it much differently. We make a copy and give the copy to a person, right? And if they sign it, they're probably going to make a copy and sign it. So we try to eliminate that down to a single document. So over time, you should really see your document levels shrink dramatically because there's only one document. And we're used to this all the time. Think of your bank today. That's how your bank works, right? They bring you to the document and they don't really send it to you. So if you get your statement, if you're like me, cell phone, right? I have my cell phone and I get the email from them, click on the link, open the app, and I can see it in front of me. Now they have a legally submissible audit control that I saw that document, and they also have retained all control over that document. So there's only one. So that's how we kind of bolster existing products.
Yeah, so it sounds like we have these ready to go HR workflows and just features that are needed, but it is a holistic solution. So if you wanted to expand to other departments, that's definitely capable. Whereas with maybe just an HRIS system, you might be kind of stuck.
Absolutely.
So it looks like we only have like a minute left, but we will continue with Q&A. So if you want to stick around, great. If not, I will be sending an email out later, and you can definitely still get in touch, no problem at all.
Yeah.
Someone asked, is the software modular? Can we only get the time management module?
So yeah, we do have a lot of functionality there, right? It depends. DocuWare has premises-based solutions where you put it on your servers, and we have cloud solutions, right? Where it's resting in the cloud, your IT doesn't have to worry about it. They start really small and we can grow them to a very large. We have the capability of doing all of these, but it doesn't mean you have to have them all, right? So I think even for your the time it would take you just to see a demo of that and get pricing, you'll probably be shocked at what it is. But yes, we can separate that piece out and only that piece out for you, or we can continue and do performance reviews and everything else, right? It's up to you guys.
All right, next question is talking about the redaction you used on the PDF. So you used a white redaction on the PDF where you took that white square and covered up like an account number. Because maybe you're an admin and you didn't want, like, say, anyone else to see that. So it says you noted the redaction being used is to hide the data you covered, are they, I guess meaning other people, really unable to get to the hidden content in a PDF that still exists in the image and text layer?
So there's a couple of things there. Yes, these are just layers, right? So they're basically overlays. And within the security in DocuWare, an employee that doesn't have access to it can't get to it. But let's say they try to get tricky and print it out. Well, they would also have a rule based that when they printed it out, all overlays would go onto that document. So it basically burns into it as a PDF when it comes out, or if they save it out, that kind of thing. So you can set parameters based on that security. And then typically we do 4 different roles in that, right? Where you have the employee, HR, the manager, and the entire company. So you can set limits on what everybody sees, but it's even possible to block them from printing or downloading a document as well. So it's kind of hard to get around that.
Yeah, so it seems like the redactions are very consistent with who can see it, but like you said, there's very customizable user rights. So if you didn't want someone to see the document at all, they wouldn't see it. Like for instance,
Absolutely.
Laura wouldn't be able to see Bob's documents. Only the HR admin would be able to see that. So, but
Absolutely.
I think, yeah, just showing that anything that's blocked will be blocked consistently with the user rights. So I hope that answered the question there. Let's see, looks like we're 2 more minutes. We'll just stay on for 3 more minutes and then see, I know everyone's eager to fill out the survey so they can win those pair of socks. Let's see if any other questions have come in. So you showed, I think there's one more question and I think we're set. You talked about the mobile apps. So do I need to have DocuWare to use that, or can I use that on its own?
So the DocuWare mobile app, there's actually 2 apps when you search either app store, right? Because they work in both Droid and Apple. There will be 2 apps. So one is the actual DocuWare app, and that is you pretty much have to have the system to use. It allows you to do everything and check your workflows, all that kind of stuff. We have a secondary one that personally I use almost every day for expense reporting and capturing data as I go, like if I take a note on a napkin at lunch or something, and it's called DocuWare Paper Scan. You can find that out there. That's free to use. It's nice. It really does help get those PDFs in. And then if you have DocuWare, you can even send them into your document tray from there.
All right, cool. That looks like the questions for today. Thank you all for staying the additional few minutes. We really appreciate it. So again, be an HR leader. This was a first look at DocuWare for HR. To get more info and take the next step, contact your authorized DocuWare partner and they'll get you going. Request a demo at docuware.com/demo or email us anytime at contact.us@docuware.com. The webinar survey will pop up once this webinar ends. And thank you again, Justin, for showing us the solution. And we look forward to seeing you guys on our webinar next month. You'll get an invitation for that probably in the next week or so. All right, everyone. Thank you.
Thanks,
Take care.
everyone.